Thank you for joining me. I want to wish you and all my friends and family around the world a very happy Preparation Day today and a very happy Sabbath tomorrow, as we're all looking forward to worshiping God together. However, sometimes I talk to people who have a hard time seeing Jesus because of the crowd. And I'm reminded of a story in Luke chapter 19 where a man named Zacchaeus couldn't see Jesus because of the crowd. So he had to climb up into a tree so that he could overlook the crowd and see Jesus. And so as I'm reminded of that story, I again am reminded of the fact that we need to, many times, even when we're worshiping God together, to overlook the crowd in order to see Jesus. Sometimes the crowd is blocking us from seeing Jesus. And how does the crowd block us? In different ways. Sometimes just distracting us. Sometimes it's the gossip, people judging other people. And when we partake of that, or join in on that, or listening to that, entertaining that, that distracts us from seeing Jesus, and then suddenly we can't see Jesus because of the crowd. We need to be careful that we don't let the crowd keep us from seeing Jesus. We love people, we worship with people, we encourage people. But when we let people become the standard, or we're letting the people influence us, then suddenly we can't see Jesus because of the crowd. And I'm reminded of a quote by General Bradley during World War II, when he told his men, "Do not set your course by the lights of every passing ship." He said, "Set your course by the stars and not by the lights of every passing ship." And so I'm reminded that in our life, we need to keep our eyes on Jesus and not every person that passes our way. Jesus is our example. And so we don't want to be distracted by people. We don't want to be looking at people in two different ways. One, we don't want to be judging them. We don't need to be looking at people and judging what they're wearing, how they're acting, what they're doing. We need to let Jesus be the judge. But also, we don't let people distract us by us following their example either. So we don't follow their example and we don't judge them. They'll answer to God. We need to answer for ourselves to God. And so the way that we can climb that tree and overlook the crowd is to spend that one-on-one time with God through Bible study, through prayer, and also by acts of service. And those acts of service are important because those acts of service help us get over ourselves. And sometimes we can be the distraction. Sometimes our ego is the distraction. And it's not just other people we need to get over. We need to get over ourselves. And so we climb that tree by acts of service, getting over ourselves so that we're not looking at ourselves, we're looking to Jesus, and by spending personal time in Bible study and in prayer. You know, I'm reminded back during COVID when our church buildings were closed. Our churches were open. The church is the people. So the church was never closed. I hear people saying that, but the church was never closed. Buildings might have been closed for a while. But I remember during that time, and let me back up just a moment here. Have you ever been at a party, a friend invites you to a party, and there's a stranger at the party, and so the host introduces you to the stranger, you're there visiting, and then the host will leave, and you're alone with that stranger that you just met. And sometimes, even for the most friendliest of us, that can be a little awkward. Sometimes we're left alone with people and we don't know what to say to them. We don't know what to do when we're with them. We're just awkward. Well, I noticed that during COVID, while a lot of people were doing church online and so forth on the phone, that I would talk to people occasionally that kept saying, oh, we've got to get back in church. We got to get back into the church building. But in talking with some of these people, some of these individuals, I realized the problem was they found it very awkward to be alone with God. And that they wanted to get the crowd back. Let's get back with the crowd, because being alone with God is just too awkward for me. Friends, we want to worship God as a community, but being alone with God should not be awkward. And so again, we need that alone time with God. We need time with the crowd, because again, God created us to be a community and a part of a community, and we've talked about that plenty before, so we don't need to go there today. But the important thing as well is that we spend that time alone with God, keeping our eyes on Jesus instead of the crowd. Climb that tree, spend that alone time with God in prayer and in Bible study, so that you can overlook the crowd and see Jesus just like Zacchaeus did. Set your course by the stars and not by the lights of every passing ship. Climb that tree, overlook the crowd, see Jesus this Sabbath. God bless you.